I'm becoming like a bit of a COVID truther where like I think we genuinely saw like a IQ drop across the board because of all the people that got hit with COVID.
Has COVID made us all dumber? I think it's been one of the big factors. Now, I realize everyone is sick of hearing about COVID, and I know that talking about it might result in me losing some followers, so if so, bye. By the way, this isn't all doom and gloom. If you stick around to the end of the video, I talk about something that gives you a bit of control in this situation. Realistically, I think COVID is one of the big reasons why so many people don't trust government officials nearly as much as they used to, because quite frankly, we were told a lot of conflicting information early on. I took advanced biology in high school, so I was very confused when shortly after the start of the pandemic, we had people claiming that oodles of scientists had gone on record saying that COVID had not been genetically engineered, because you can't prove a negative. This is why debates between atheists and Christians always end up in a sort of public intellectual self-diddling. You can't prove a negative. If something was genetically engineered, there isn't a copyright or a watermark stamp that gets put on the gene. They just cut it at a certain set of base pairs and slot in the new DNA that will code for new proteins on the ribosome. Everybody knows that, don't they? Why didn't anyone else pay attention in school? Realistically, the perspectives of the people who make the choices about how society lives and moves quickly went from, we need to prevent this deadly virus from spreading and wiping out humanity, to, oh, it's not wiping us out, and it's actually spread way more than we thought. Okay, maybe we just try and stop the spread until we can prevent it from causing significant damage when people get infected, to, look, my stocks haven't recovered yet. I don't care what happens to people who go to work. We need people working. We need kids back in school so that their parents work, and I need numbers on my spreadsheet to go brrr. I've had COVID that I know of one time, and I suspect it's the only time because my immune system would rather beat the crap out of me because I smelled a little bit of perfume than actually protect me from a real virus. When I got COVID, it hit me hard. I remember worrying that my brain would never be the same. I remember telling people, I'm not pretty enough to be this dumb. I couldn't remember historical details. I couldn't think quickly. I was roughly as incompetent as your average member of Congress. It was terrifying. Why? Because COVID was causing my brain to swell up and press against my skull. Studies have found that in a lot of people with COVID, they end up with plaque on their brains, similar to football players who receive constant hits in the head. This isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is what mainline medical research is showing. You just don't get told about it because the people who own the news stations want you to keep going to work where it's not safe. And anecdotally, yeah, people are dumber now. If you talk to a flight attendant, they'll tell you people are crazy on planes now. If you talk to somebody in tech support, they'll tell you that they're getting calls from people who think that they've been hacked because their phone has a serial number. And it's proof they've been hacked. Now, to be clear, this is not medical advice, and I'm not promoting any specific company or product. I am talking about my own experience. So, what did I do to get my brain back to healthy after having a longer than normal bout of COVID? I started consuming mushrooms. The kind of mushrooms that are legal in some places like Oregon, and even in places where they're not, are generally not a concern of the cops, because if you take too much of them, the worst that you're probably going to do is lay on your back on a rug and think you're talking to a dragon. Studies have shown that psilocybin is an incredibly effective treatment for PTSD. What people don't realize about PTSD is it's not like feelings that you can't let go of. PTSD is caused when someone's brain is in a situation that is so overwhelming the brain hurts itself while trying to cope. It causes physical damage. You can put someone in an MRI and you can see the PTSD. It's not just, that needy teenager who tells you that they're triggered when they have to take a test or something like that. Like, PTSD is a very real thing. And anyone who tells you that they support our troops, whoever our is or our troops are, and they're not actively pushing for complete decriminalization of psilocybin, they don't support the troops. They just like sending people off to die in wars. So why does psilocybin work effectively to treat PSD? Because psilocybin promotes growth in the brain, and like the kind of maintenance growth. It's not like your brain's going to just get so big that your head cracks open or something. Like, it promotes health in the brain. You've heard about how it's easier for kids to learn a language or instrument than adults. That's because when we're young, we have certain proteins in our brain that encourage rapid connections between different neurons in the brain, which allows for fast learning. These linked neurons are why when you learn something when you're young, you can still do it like like riding a bike. If I pick up a copy of Mario Bros. 3 or Mega Man X, I can still beat that game faster than you could possibly think I should be able to, even if I haven't played it in more than a decade. Psilocybin causes your brain to behave more like it does during that young period of your life, even if you take very small amounts. It's also a fantastic migraine cure. And one of the really interesting things that I learned before deciding to take it is that it's very non addictive. In fact, some rehab places actually use it to help people break other addictions or addictions. Again, you can't get addicted to shrooms. If you take enough, like even if you take enough for a fun dose, the next day you're not going to be able to take that same amount to get that same sort of reaction because your brain actually gets used to it and it just kind of goes like, okay, we got to get back to life. So it's really the sort of thing that like you can take every now and again, but you can't. It's not like alcohol or other drugs where you can keep taking it and you just build up a bit of a tolerance. It's if you try and take it the next day, like, yeah, well, hi, but you got to get back to your, life. If you do decide to do a fun dose, though, start off small and make sure that you do it at least 8 hours before you need to fall asleep. I also suggest pairing it with one of those heated, vibrating back massagers. Literally the best feeling in the world. But yeah, you've only got one brain, so make sure to protect it because nobody else is going to.